Every generation has its trauma and crisis. Ukrainians are hurt, but we are resilient and resistant, and we will be defending and rebuilding our country regardless everyday attacks, shellings, and missile strikes.
Ukrainian strategy is very straightforward. We are fighting for restoration of our territorial integrity, for bringing back peace to our land.
Some by operating HIMARS, others by making the decisions to provide them to Ukraine. Some advocate for F-16s, others train Ukrainian pilots. Some gather and send humanitarian aid, others deliver it to those in need.
The longer this war lasts, the less security it is for Ukraine, for the region, and for the world.
It's all very difficult, of course. And we are dealing with an extremely difficult adversary, with the lack of resources, and we're inventing the way how to win this war with the means which we have against the enemy which we have.
Now, Ukrainians are beating Russian army themselves, only with limited supplies of the NATO weapon systems. It is crystal clear how a direct conflict between NATO and Russia will end up should Russians dare for another assault. The obvious and utmost step for Ukraine's integration is its fully fledged NATO membership. It will landmark the new status quo. Ukraine is not a part of Russia, neither of its sphere of influence. It is part of the community of civilized nations, which is based on universal values of democracy, rule of law, and human rights.
Volunteers and activists in Ukraine and abroad have become a vital defense line, doing everything possible and impossible to cover the needs of Ukrainian soldiers, internally displaced persons, refugees, and citizens whose lives were turned upside down by Russia's imperialism and ruthlessness.
Having a journalism background in Crimea, Kharkiv, and Kyiv, I cover Ukraine's temporarily occupied territories, what strategies Russia uses there to occupy, suppress, and Russify Ukrainians, and the Ukrainian vision of regaining control over these territories and people's minds after the Russian propaganda machine has influenced them.
Ukraine is a part of Europe. Ukraine deserves its lawful place in the Euro-Atlantic family. Ukraine is one of us. But what about the practical part? How and when will all these declarations turn into tangible steps?
The counteroffensive is succeeding. It's going right now in the south and east of our country. We also attempt to bring back the ability to navigate in the Black Sea, and we are very grateful to the support which in democratic community, Western community, is providing to Ukraine. It is extremely appreciated, and we would like our partners to stay with us and win together with us.
In order for Ukraine to have long-term security, it is absolutely clear that it should become the member of Euro-Atlantic family, member of the European Union and of NATO. And those decisions should not be delayed. For example, the invitation to Ukraine to join NATO should already be extended at the next NATO summit in Washington, D.C. And security guarantees should be provided to Ukraine for their time that it is preparing itself to become actually the NATO member.
I have a dream that it will become an epic story of the victory of good over evil, that Ukraine will be very soon a respected EU and NATO member. But I fear that half-step policies, delays, and misinterpretation of the notion of peace may turn it into a story where evil remains undefeated and unpunished.
We need to make sure that not only Ukraine wins, but Russia is also punished for its actions. Russia is held accountable for war crimes, for the crime of aggression. Only then we will have the situation in the world, the conditions where we can say that there is less danger now from other aggressive states.
Only liberation of all the Ukrainian territories, together with my native Crimea, will ensure not only Ukraine's long-term security, but the security of all the eastern flank.
We believe this victory is strategically important not just to Ukraine, but also for the rest of the world, particularly the democratic world, because there's absolutely no scenario under which this war brings any benefits to anyone in a free world. And we need to establish a positive precedent that the aggressions like that fail. And there shouldn't be any ambiguity about that. They need to fail, and the freedom and democracy needs to win.
So, Ukraine's NATO membership is an inevitable step of utmost importance. In terms of Ukraine's integration, it will reinforce the brotherhood in arms, already initiated by the supplies of the Western weapons.
Ukrainian armed forces, volunteers and activists all around the globe, Ukraine's allies, each and every of us, we all are writing the story of the future world with big and small deeds and decisions.
Winning a long-term peace will help us to find a blueprint for how to prevent aggression in all other spots of the world.